This is Kendra Savage. She practices holistic and integrative psychotherapy and psychoanalysis. She has a master's degree from Rutgers University. And then we get into the superconscious mind, hypnotherapy, regression to things in this life. And then this is where we can take another step further away from the traditional scientific model. So I'm the Past Life Awakening Institute. So what are your thoughts towards modalities like past life regression?
Yeah. The clients I work with, inevitably, if they continue in their treatment and they slowly begin to awaken consciously, they gain that observing position. They're able to really allow themselves to feel and experience emotional data in real time. So they can feel what they're feeling in any given moment. They're allowing themselves to feel it, experience it, integrate it, process it, gain the wisdom. Then their internal voice is awakening. To me, the emotional feelings that people feel at any given moment is the voice of their internal wisdom. And one way in which I've learned to understand that for myself as a student, not as a professional, is that there is a deep wisdom within us, a deep connection to the superconscious, a deep a deep wisdom that is trying to help us grow and evolve and learn in this life. And so as I began to gain access to that, and I imagine my clients also, as they gain access to that understanding, that information, they're just going to continue to evolve and move along, right? And the spiritual awakening to me is the next phase, which says there are things that EMDR, IFS can deal with in this lifetime, but there still may be emotional blocks, issues that are not resolving through our work together, that may have to do with something beyond time and space, right? So EMDR, IFS, because it is a shift in consciousness that is not as intense as hypnotherapy, we do get blocked by time and by space. And so to me, that would be where a wonderful referral would happen to someone like you, Mark, where you would be able to explore that next phase of healing for individuals. Um, yeah.
Right. Well, that's so I'm not, you are a licensed psychologist, and I'm not. And so I don't work with clinically diagnosed issues. But so in this life necessarily, or through hypnotherapy, it's not it's still focusing really on subconscious issues, or past life regression, spiritual issues. So I have that mandate, and they are then inherently more subtle, little traumas. So the whole idea that people need past life regression therapy now, it's like, well, don't we have enough problems in this life? Yes. And once you've gone to people like Kandra and dealt with all of those, you may find some of the you've cleared away so much that things as subtle as past life traumas can come up, and then they may be relatively small and not necessarily be dealt with in your own past or in these past decades, but does come up now as a relatively small trauma, but the biggest one you've got. Hence, it's now made its way to the front of the line. Uh,
That's right. There's a queue. There's a healing queue, and it's been collecting your entire life, and it's just waiting. And your body has the deep wisdom of knowing which one should come first and which one should come next. And so, absolutely,
so how
absolutely.
how do you see in your practice when you might do a referral to past life regression? Do people even spontaneously have things come up, or do you have a sense through some other way?
Yeah. Well, this was just happening recently. So, a client that we had explored a certain body sensation and present trigger, and we had explored it on several occasions. And every time we would explore it, the way in which they might define it is, well, I just can't get there. There's a block there. And to me, of course, my client might then say, oh, well, that's my fault. Something's wrong with me, right? So that's their survival strategy. But over time, as we begin to take in the complexity and realize, well, there are so many other factors here. What if it's actually the wall of time that's blocking you from getting there? And EMDR, while it does shift consciousness, it doesn't do it in as deep a way as hypnotherapy. It doesn't explore beyond that wall. Would you be willing to consider, right, that wonderful question, that it's actually something beyond this life? And when I broach those subjects with clients, it's always carefully because, again, there's no judgment on my end about what spiritual modality or not that you aspire to. Um, and when we get to a place where we can ask those questions, then if that's meaningful for that client, then a referral is a wonderful way with which they can continue to take that issue specifically or other issues that are coming up that we're not able to find a resolution for. Instead of saying, wow, I'm a terrible therapist. Wow, she's a terrible client, no, there are really limitations to the work I do. And there are resources beyond me.
Sure. I think, I mean, there are limitations to everything and that nothing's complete in itself. So I will also meet with people. And if I think it's mainly a cognitive issue and you need to figure out, some this life psychological things, go see a psychologist first. I see myself really as a therapist of last resort. And I really prefer people to have done as much possible work and so that they checked off every other possible thing. So the only thing that makes any sense is the thing that doesn't make any sense, which is past lives. you know.
Sure, absolutely.
Thanks for watching. If you're interested in having personal sessions or certification training in hypnosis or hypnotherapy or regression to this life, past lives, between lives, or spirit releasement therapy, then visit my website, thepastlifeawakeninginstitute.com, for details.